It's Thursday. It is 9 a.m. And you know what that means? It's time for OpenCV Live. We'll let you all filter in wherever you're watching. We're live here on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn Live. Satya's hands for some reason.
All right. Now the hands are out.
Yeah, we're on Twitch as well. We're monetized on Twitch. We mentioned this a couple weeks. We have some Twitch subscribers now, some members over on Twitch. And so I'll give them a shout out a little bit later in the episode, probably, and drop a link to show you how you can do that. One of the new things here on OpenCV Live is we're monetized on Twitch, and if you're an Amazon Prime member, you may not know this, but you get one free Twitch channel subscription per month, and all you got to do is go to our channel, click the little button, and you can give us free money from Daddy Bezos every single month. So. Let's claw back some of what he owes us, shall we? I'm on a good one this morning. I hope you are too. I'm coming to you from beautiful, fragrant Soma in downtown San Francisco, California. It is the Hell Week known as Dreamforce. Just know if you're here for Dreamforce, I personally hate you and can't wait for you to leave. But please spend some money while you're here at some of our local restaurants and various other type places. Moscone is super close to SF MoMA. Go check out some art while you're here. If you're looking for pizza, Square Pie Guys and DNA Pizza are your places to go. If you want it somewhere a little nicer, maybe sit down in the neighborhood that's not too big, I recommend HK Lounge Bistro. These are not paid advertisements yet, but these are Phil's picks for the Soma neighborhood. Dr. Satya Malik, where are you joining us from today?
From San Diego, California, and the weather has suddenly turned a little cold after rains. Like in one day, it rained what it normally rains in an entire month. So that one day left it a little cold.
Yeah, we finally got some rain here in San Francisco as well for like one afternoon, but it was serious rain. I got caught in it for a little bit walking back from the Nintendo store. Super on brand for me. They got me with the Animal Crossing housewares. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Jody Burchell, where are you joining us from today? Our guest.
I'm not going to listen to you two in California complaining about the weather because I'm coming from Berlin, where winter's already started. So yeah, it's been overcast for some time now.
Yeah, but you've got all that architecture, it's
all that beautiful Soviet architecture covered in graffiti. Yeah, Berlin, well known for its beauty.
We are not so different, you and I. Yeah,
Yes.
here in San Francisco. But yeah, we'll get started in just a few minutes. Please let us know where you're joining us from in the chat, wherever you're joining us from, wherever you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Zoom. Let me pull up the Zoom chat here. Make sure. I think we're spotlighted for everyone. Oh shit! I forgot to hit start webinar on Zoom. That explains that. Hello there, Zoomers. We almost missed us, but we're here. Please let us know where you're joining us from in the chat. I see over on YouTube, we've got Pakistan. Over on LinkedIn, we've got Ukraine, Iran. Our friend Totally78, one of the first people that joined the Twitch channel, Totally78, actually suggested some changes. So, like, good morning, Totally78. How you doing, buddy? Vancouver, British Columbia. Yeah, we've got a few.
Phil, your voice is a little less loud.
Is it quiet?
It is a little quiet.
Let me see about. For some reason, I think it's messing with my volume. Let me. Is that a little bit better?
Yeah, maybe? That is better.
Okay, thanks. I think for some reason the browser is like cutting my gain. I don't know what it's doing. Maybe it's like automatic. We were talking about this just before we got on the air that like there's so many little finicky details with all of this stuff, no matter how good the hardware you're using or whatever, that it's so silly that like you still have to go in there and like chimp over the controls and like, hey, I forgot to uncheck this box, and so I sound terrible this morning. Over on LinkedIn, we've got New Delhi, India. A couple more folks chiming in from India over there. On LinkedIn, we've got Florence Basingstoke, Bruce Wright from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We've got Leslie Ann from Trinidad. We've got just one AI note taker. Remember the times when we had like 8 of them in the chat? Right. I think that was not so long ago.
Have they consolidated it? What's going on?
I don't really know. They just kind of disappeared. I mean, good riddance. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know, but yeah, not so hot. Baja, Carlos Nava joining us from Baja. We've got Pennsylvania. We've got Firenze. We've got Nevada, Texas. Okay. Clarkson University, New York, Holland. I don't know if they mean Holland, the like European Holland, or if they mean Holland, Michigan, which is in fact a place. Madagascar. Patrick Ellis, who spelled it wrong 3 times this morning. Albuquerque. It's a tough one. Albuquerque. Yes, Leslie Ann says all the note taker free trials ran out. That's why the AI bots stuff. I think you're probably right. New Orleans. We've got Palm Beach. And okay, Nico clarifies hi from the Netherlands. Thank you, Nico. Okay. We appreciate that. I think now's a great time to get started. You ready, Doc? Yep. Let's go. Okay.
Yeah, let's go. Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Sacha Malik, the CEO of OpenCV.org. On today's episode of OpenCV Live, we welcome back developer advocate Dr. Jody Burchell from PyCharm, the official IDE of OpenCV, for a hands-on live stream. We will build an OCR AI agent that can read text from images and dynamically work with the results. It's going to be a fun episode and very educational as well. But first, with me, as always, is Phil Nelson, who is the Director of Content and Creative at OpenCV. Phil produces the show, and if anything goes wrong, it's his fault. Hi, Phil.
Yes, indeed. Good morning out there, everybody. It's me. It's PHI-LLIP. I am your co-host with the co-most, the second banana, who's second to none. I'm also your plus one and only. It's Mr. Nelson. If you're nasty, but you, my dear friends, can call me Phil. And I am back in my wizard tower up to full power. And I'm here to remind you of a few things we do on every single episode of this here program, the first of which is a giveaway to you in the audience. Stay tuned, and later on in the episode, we will be giving away 3, count them, 3 PyCharm personal licenses, 1-year licenses from our guest Jody and our good friends over at PyCharm, the official community platform, the official Python IDE of OpenCV. Thanks so much for those free codes. We will give those out in about 40 minutes during our trivia segment. So pay attention, listen, learn, and you may win a free PyCharm personal license. We're also taking questions from you in the audience. Use the Q&A button on Zoom if you're watching on Zoom, or if you're watching anywhere else on LinkedIn, Twitch, or YouTube. Just use the chat system on those. I'm monitoring them, and I will bring the best questions up on screen during the show. For example, our friend Alak here is excited for the session. We're excited too. Thanks for joining us. Ask a good question, and I'll bring you up on feed just like that. I think now let's just go right for it. Before we get started here, I want to remind everybody that OpenCV is an open source computer vision library run by a nonprofit organization, and we depend on the support of members and partners such as PyCharm, our friends at JetBrains, ARM, RunPod, Intrinsic, FutureWay, RoboFlow, Hackster, 7th Sense, Google Summer of Code, OpenMV, Orbic, the British Machine Vision Association and Society for Pattern Recognition, that's a mouthful, Tangram Vision, Amped Software, Intuitivo, Rerun, the Edge AI and Vision Alliance, and Big Vision, because every company needs a big vision. Thanks so much to those sponsors and supporters. You can become an OpenCV supporter by going to opencv.org/support. You can donate as an individual. You can buy a shirt. You can encourage your boss to donate. You become a sponsor on GitHub, on Twitch, or on YouTube. And all the ways you can do that are available at opencv.org/support. So I think now is a great time to get started. Are you ready, Jody?
I am more than ready.
Let's do it.
All right.
Your show.
So, as Satya very kindly explained, we have a pretty fun episode today. So I think everyone is crazy about agents this year. This is the year of AI agents. So what I want to do in this episode with Satya is sort of explore a bit what you can do with agents, what they are, how they sort of fit together with vision models. And we're going to build a really nice little project where we can take handwritten images or images that contain handwriting, transcribe them, and then get the agent to do some follow-up actions. So first things first, all of the code for this project, and Phil has kindly posted that link in the chat, is available on my, you got me. It's available on my GitHub. So basically, if you want to follow up with this project and play around with it, and you'll see you can do a lot of extensions to this project with your own ideas, feel free to use that code however you like. And I partially say that because I took this code from another course, which I often do for these demos. And the course I took it from is this one here. So Hugging Face, for those of you who don't know, is a company that has a very well-established open source branch. And they're kind of the place where all of the sort of open source foundational models in kind of this latest generative AI wave are hosted. So they have an agents course. If you are interested in learning more about agents from the ground up, this is probably one of the best courses I've found. It's totally free. And really all you need is Python knowledge, which I'm guessing you have if you are interested in OpenCV. So that's a really good place to get started. And again, I'll share that link and Phil can post that in the chat. So the tutorial that I have adapted is this document analysis project. So thank you to the authors of this course for providing this tutorial. And that then kind of leads into explaining what an agent is. So basically an agent is an application that wraps a large language model, an LLM, in a way that allows it to do sort of problem decomposition, to do multiple steps of planning, to interact with the environment and kind of go beyond just being an LLM, which you do this sort of back and forth chat with or use for more specific purposes like, say, text classification, and allows it to do sort of multi-step processes, often in a relatively autonomous way. And we're going to see an example of that in the tutorial today. So specifically, what we're going to be dealing with is a React agent. So you can sort of see the process of how an agent roughly works here. You basically send in a request to the agent to get the process started. The agent has an LLM at the core, and that LLM takes in this request and tries to decompose the steps that it needs to carry out in order to achieve the goal. You can also access tools in order to achieve that goal. And those tools are often designed to either allow it to do things that LLMs are not very good at, like math, or to access external resources, such as APIs. And it can sort of reiterate over that process many times. And specifically, the React agent has this workflow. So the idea is that you start by entering your prompt, whatever you want the agent to do. The first place that that prompt hits is the assistant. And the assistant is sort of a wrapper for the LLM, which tells it to sort of break down what the problem is that you put into it. And the assistant can go multiple rounds of carrying out a step, seeing if it needs to use tools to carry out that step, revisiting, seeing where it's up to, maybe calling more tools, and then when it thinks it's achieved the goals, it ends the process. And so, as you might imagine, the sort of LLMs that you need to carry out this sort of instructions are not sort of really basic LLMs. You need more powerful LLMs, and specifically the ones that seem to work best for agents are what are called thinking or reasoning models. And these are LLMs that have been taken and put through a post-training process that makes them better at taking problems, breaking them down, revisiting and evaluating their answers, and taking potentially multiple steps to get to a final answer. And then the final piece of this puzzle that we're going to be working with are vision language models. And maybe I'll hand over to Satya if you want to explain what these are, or I can also give a brief explanation.
Yeah, I can give an explanation. So vision language models basically think about, let's start with large language models, right? So large language models, the way they are trained is you take all the text from the internet and you train a very large model which has this world knowledge, right? So you can ask it any question and it answers, right? Just like ChatGPT, it is one of the models, one of the first large language models. Now, people soon realized two things. First of all the text information has been consumed by LLMs, so you need new modalities for these models to improve, right? The second thing is that a lot of, if you look at the human visual system, 30% of the human visual system is 30% of the 30% of the brain power we use goes into vision, right? And compare that with other senses like listening, only 3%. And I often joke, whenever I say the statistics, I like to joke that if you ask my wife, she would say that I don't even spend 1% in listening, right? So but 30% is spent on vision. So the reason is that vision data, right? The pictures that we see, it's very rich in information, right? So if you're able to consume that information, you have a lot of information about your environment. So now that is also the reason we want to consume visual data in our large AI models. So that's where vision language model came in. They are a combination of visual data and text data. And the simplest vision language model is called CLIP, which was trained on image caption pairs, right? So you have image and the caption you can get from all text. You can get it from the surrounding, text in the image, and together you can. Initially, CLIP was basically, you give an image and you give text, and it will try to match whether the two things are close enough to each other or not. But now vision language models are very sophisticated. You can have a conversation with them. So if you think about all these LLMs are now some sort of visual language models, right? And the open source ones like Qwen 2.5 VL, you can have a conversation with them. You can add multiple images during at various times, etc. So basically, it can consume both visual as well as text information. The text part gives it global context. It gives all the information about the world. So world knowledge is available through the text, and very specific, very specific context is given by the image, because that image is very rich in information. So you can very specifically say, oh, I want to know more about this fan or this laptop or something like that by taking a picture of it. So the very specific things are given through vision, and the world knowledge is through text. So that's roughly vision language models.
I knew I was right handing that over to you.
We also have at OpenCV University, we have a free course on vision language models. So for people who are interested, you can check that out, opencv.org/university.
And I can vouch for how amazing those courses are if you haven't had a look at those. So let's kind of move on to starting the tutorial. So obviously, PyCharm as the official IDE of OpenCV, and me being from JetBrains, this is what we're going to be using for the tutorial. So if you've never used PyCharm before, you can visit our homepage at jetbrains.com/PyCharm, and you can download it here. Now, PyCharm used to come in two editions. It used to come in a free community edition and a paid professional edition. What we've actually done recently is amalgamate them in one edition, but we haven't removed any of the free features in the community kind of part of that. You can still use PyCharm for free and access many of the features. And we've actually added some features. You can now use Jupyter Notebooks. But yeah, just to kind of clarify, if you were a community user, you can now move over to this combined edition. You're losing no features and you're actually gaining a few. But if you've never used PyCharm, if you download it, you'll actually get a 1-month trial of Pro included. And for 3 lucky viewers, there will be 3 Pro 1-year licenses going today as well. Many of the features I'm going to be showing you today are bundled in the Pro edition. So I do encourage you to try it out and see what you like. There's actually some really cool functionality that I've not shown on this live stream before, which specifically is designed to help you work with LLMs and work with agents. And I'm quite excited to show you actually because they're quite cool.
Very nice.
Yes. And the other thing we're going to be working with briefly today is our AI service. So in our AI service, we basically have two kind of main products. Our AI assistant, which is designed for smaller tasks, and we have our own coding agent called Junie. So this is a separate subscription unless you are an all products pack user. But as a pro user of PyCharm, you also have access to our free tier. It just has obviously less credits. So yeah, you can also try that out once you sign up for your pro subscription. Okay, so enough about PyCharm. We have presumably downloaded it, and we're going to get started with our project. So obviously I've set most of this up. I will be doing a few brave live demos, and they're very brave because it's an agent, but I have tested everything, so let's see how we go.
Still don't have a sound effect for the Brave Live demo, but perhaps a community member will contribute one, or I'll bust out my army of tiny synthesizers and make one later today.
I think we may need it after today. Let's see. I'm a little, I'm excited but scared.
We believe in you.
Thank you. But let's start with the easy part. We're going to start with setting up our environment. So those of you who have been using Python for a while would know that to start any project, you need to set up your interpreter. And this is always something I like to show in PyCharm because it's a really nice part of the IDE. So when you start a new project, you basically need to give it a way of accessing Python, and that's an interpreter. So in terms of our interpreter options, we have a lot of remote and local options. But in terms of the local options, I've already set it up. This is why it's screaming at me. But we have a huge number of ways of creating projects. And we've recently integrated UV and Hatch support. And this is amazing. It's basically all of the major ways that you're ever going to be setting up a Python interpreter. It's supported out of the box. It's really easy. I am, of course, using UV because it's 2025 and it's very trendy. Of course, you're no one if you're not using UV in 2025. And once we set up our interpreter, we can go to the Python packages tool window, and this allows us to see everything we've got installed. It looks a little janky because I've had to zoom up the appearance. But you can basically see I've got all my LangChain dependencies. We'll be using that for the agent. I've got Olama. We might be using that depending if we get time. OpenCV, of course. And if I want to say install something that is not already installed, I can just look it up, and you can see actually all the documentation as you would see it on, say, PyPI. So it's a really convenient way of managing your dependencies. And I really like this tool window. Okay, so let's get to the project. And I actually have a little story behind this project. So I've chosen a project where we can use OCR to detect handwriting, specifically in handwritten recipes. And that's because my mother-in-law, she has this huge collection of handwritten recipes.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's so lovely, right? And I've been talking with my husband, and we're like, we should really sit down and run these through OCR, right? But they're old recipes, we potentially need to tweak them, and they're actually not in English, they're in Spanish because my mother-in-law doesn't speak English. So this kind of seems like a perfect test case for an agent, really. So yeah, this is my heartwarming backstory to this project. This is obviously not one of my mother-in-law's recipes. This is my handwriting, and I kind of wanted to do this myself because my handwriting is frankly horrific, as you can see. So
almost as bad as mine, almost.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I swear to God, the more I went through my PhD, the worse it got. And so I joke it's doctor handwriting, but
yeah, definitely.
It's just because I got tendonitis and I can't write properly anymore. But yeah, cool. So yeah, basically what we have here is a chocolate cake recipe that I found online. I've just written out all of the ingredients, and I've written out the methods. So we have this as a PNG image. Okay, so let's start with a basic setup of an agent. So we're going to be using a package called LangGraph. If you do this Hugging Faces course, you'll see that there's actually a couple of other packages, but LangGraph is sort of coming out as one of the most popular ones because It can offer a little bit more structure than other frameworks, but you can sort of play around and decide what's best for your use case. But let me talk you through sort of the main components of this React agent. And remember, a React agent is one that is sort of letting the LLM determine what steps need to be taken and what tools need to be used. You can create more structured agents with LangGraph where you dictate the flow a bit more, but we're not doing that today. So the first things first that we need to create is this assistant or thinking or whatever you want to call it module. They call it an assistant module in the Hugging Face tutorial, so that's what I've called it. But basically the idea behind it is it's sort of the gateway for the LLM to be able to reason its way through the problem. And you can see that we're giving it a system prompt, which is very similar to other system prompts you might have seen when you're using an LLM. You're telling it that it's a helpful assistant, that it has access to tools, and that it's potentially also going to be given some images, and that it needs to analyze this. We can kind of put whatever we want in this. You can tweak the system message as much as you like. You can make it as detailed as you like, but I'm just keeping it simple for now. Okay, so basically the next thing that we need to create in a LangGraph agent, is the state. So the state is sort of the memory of the graph, because we're going to go through multiple steps and it sort of stores information that the LLM might need to be able to access later. So it sort of updates decisions or pieces of information that the LLM has extracted. The next is, of course, the LLM itself. We're going to be using GPT-4o. If we get time, I will show you how we can also do this with open source models. But for now, I'm going to make my life a little bit easier and make the demo, a little smoother. We're going to be using 4o because it's a very powerful all-purpose model. And then, of course, you need tools. So we specify which tools we have in this list. So at this point, we only have one. And then we bind those to the LLM. And then importantly, because LLMs operate with language, particularly natural language, it's very helpful to pass in as a string a description, i.e. the doc string and the types and the name of the tool functions. So that's basically the components that we have for our React agent. I'll just quickly show you the tool that we have, and then we'll go back to how we build the agent. So for now, we only have one tool, as I said. Basically, what this tool is doing is using a vision language model. In this case, again, GPT-4o, very powerful all-purpose model. And what it does is basically converts the image into base 64. It creates a system message to basically extract all the text from the image, calls the LLM, and then basically extracts the response and cleans up the text. That's all it does. So pretty straightforward so far. And then let's get to how we build this agent. So LangGraph, as you might guess from the name, is a graph. So in order to instantiate the graph, we need to create this state graph object, and we need to pass the agent state to it. And then we need to create the nodes. The nodes are really simple in this case. We just have two. We have the assistant and the tools. And then, of course, the ending, but that's sort of implied. We start with the first edge, which goes from the start to the assistant. So always in the first step, you enter your prompt, and then you pass that information to the assistant to decide what to do with it.
Yeah, so in the beginning, you had shown that little graph, right? So that's what it's meaning.
Exactly. So just like in this diagram. So we're just doing this, but with code. We start, we go to the assistant, and you're going to see in a second, we use a method called a conditional edge, which allows the LLM to decide whether it goes between the tools or the assistant at each pass. So we'll show that. That's this code right here, the conditional edge. So it allows that flexibility of going back and forth. And then we just need to cement that that path between the tools and the assistant exists. And then finally, we just compile it. So you can see it's a very simple graph structure. And so we're finally ready to invoke our graph. So we create our first prompt. Please transcribe the provided image. We pass that over as a message. And then we call or we invoke the graph by giving pieces of information for those two fields we have in the state, the messages and the input file. And the input file is my very messy chocolate cake recipe.
So Gary Bradsky, who is the founder of OpenCV, he says that whenever he talks to an LLM, he uses please, just like you. Because when the AI takes over, then they are nice to they will check all the requests he had made, and they will conclude that he was nice to the LLMs.
Exactly. I feel bad. Like I'm sort of, you're my assistant. I wouldn't say to a human assistant. I know. And this is the thing, anthropomorphizing these is so easy, right?
Yeah. And especially if you're using the voice mode, it is so easy. Like,
I know. And I try to be very careful when I describe agents because they don't really decide things. They don't reason. They don't think, right? But it's very natural to use this language. Okay, so
it is mentally more taxing to just order, right? You don't talk like that to any person normally, right? So yeah,
exactly. And I also like to think
it depends. I think what tax bracket you're in, Satya.
All right.
It's tough. It's tough for me and you. We're usually the ones being ordered to do something.
I think
that's very fair. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to show you, one of the new things we have in PyCharm is this AI agents debugger. So this is available as a plugin. I'll show you how to install that in a second. But basically what this allows you to do is to see every step that the agent is taking. And as you can kind of see, it's likely to get complex, especially with a React agent, because it's not deterministic. So you can see the first thing that the assistant has done is called this extract text tool because it it comprehended that it needed to transcribe the provided image and that this tool had the functionality to allow it to do that. It has actually successfully read my handwriting. I couldn't believe it, right? I know. And it even ignored all the mistakes I made, which I'd crossed out. It did a really good job.
Wow.
And then here's the final result.
Not bad at all.
It's really good. So this is our first step. We already have something pretty cool, but maybe, even though my handwriting's bad, this is a really good quality image.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Step 6, unlock the AI and take over humanity. I don't remember that being in the... I don't remember that recipe for
give me
chocolate
access to your bank account.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. But yes, I think, Satya, you picked up. I've got a very easy image here, right? So, it's not going to have a hard time, at least, distinguishing the background from the lines. So it might be that perhaps we want to pre-process the image. And of course, this is where OpenCV comes in. So we can start adding additional tools. So the first tool I want to add is to pre-process the image. And this tool does 3 things using a lot of different methods from OpenCV. The first thing is if it detects that the image is too small, just picked an arbitrary width, it basically uses the resize method to scale up that image.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can also pick whether you want to increase the threshold, the contrast.
Yeah.
So basically you can call this threshold methodology and you can use bilateral filter and adaptive threshold methods, or you can correct skewed text. Oh, you can tell that I wrote that, not the LLM. So basically, there's just a whole bunch of really useful methods from OpenCV, but this is all pretty standard pre-processing work. God, I cannot say that word. So what we're going to do is just copy this over into our tools file. Pop this in below the other one. And what you might have noticed also is that all of these functions that I'm writing are very well documented. They have really nice doc strings. And that's because this is required when you are using these functions as tools. Everything needs to have documentation because the LLM needs this information to understand what to do with these tools.
Yeah.
But writing documentation is boring. So I want to show you something that you can do with AI Assistant. So if you go to AI Actions and write documentation, it will basically write the whole thing for you, and it will do the correct types. It's also important actually to specify the types. I did do it when I was writing the code, but you can also get AI Assistant to do that for you. Because it's really important that the LLM understands what the output and input type will be to understand whether, you know, the thing that you're feeding in can actually go into that function. So I actually wrote all the documentation in this whole agent using this functionality. It actually works really, really well. It's one of my favorite AI Assistant functions. And so now that we have this here, we have to do a couple of other things. So you would have noticed as part of the assistant, we include this as information that the assistant has access to. They're basically a textual description of all the tools. So we have to copy and paste that in here. We also obviously then need to import that tool. So we're going to import that, and then we're going to add it to the tools that the LLM has access to. And then we're just going to update our prompt. So we're going to say, for example, please pre-process this with thresholding. I've already prepared this, so I'm just going to add it. So please pre-process the image with thresholding to improve readability, transcribe the recipe. So let's see how we go, and hopefully I have remembered all the steps. Well, it's not breaking yet. So yeah, it's determined that it needs to pre-process the image yet. It spits that out into a temporary location. It then finds it and then starts extracting the text. And voila, it has again done a very nice job. So now we come to the next level of difficulty. I'm Australian, as you might have picked up by the accent, and I don't understand imperial units like Fahrenheit. So I do a lot of baking, and I bake a lot from American recipes, and every single time I need to manually convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. But what if the agent could convert this for us? So
you mean you don't do C/5 is equal to F minus 32/9 in your head?
oh, no, I know. I'm such an idiot. I know.
No, come on. We all know it's double it and add 30. Like that's the yeah. I mean that's how you do it. It doesn't work great for baking, by the way.
Yeah. If I'm making macarons, maybe I don't want to risk it.
Maybe, yeah. No, those couple degrees actually do matter. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we can actually do is create functions for this. And I know this seems like a very simple function and is perhaps too simple. Like, why would you need to do this? The reason is that as great as LLMs are at language, they can't do math. They can't do symbolic logic. They can do pattern matching in language. So unless the LLM has seen the conversion that you are doing all the time, and it might have for some of these temperatures, it's just going to hallucinate and guess something. So it's much better if you're doing anything to do with math to actually give it access to a tool that allows it to do it. So we can see again, we've got this nice doc string that the AI assistant wrote for us. We're going to again chuck that into our tools, and we are going to repeat those same steps. We're going to import it. We are going to add it to our tools, and we are going to copy over that doc string and the name of the function and the types to the assistant. Okay. Oh. All right, let's go again. Okay, so again, oops, I didn't update the prompt. There we go. One thing I forgot to do. Okay, so the updated prompt is going to require us to do that conversion. Okay, so cool. So we still have please pre-process the image with thresholding, transcribe the recipe, and convert the temperature from Fahrenheit to Celsius. By the way, I only discovered today that Celsius is spelled with an S, not a C. The second letter, the second time. I'm like, oh, okay. I've been spelling that wrong my whole life. So yes, the assistant has pre-processed the image. It's now extracting the text. Okay, so it's given us the extracted text, which has the degrees in Fahrenheit. It's correctly determined that we need to convert the temperature Fahrenheit to Celsius, and it did it. It did it. It's so cool.
Super
Okay,
useful.
it's really good. It's really like, to be honest, I know it kind of sounds a bit silly because I built it, but I was surprised how well it works. Like they're not great for everything. So I'm putting together another tutorial, which is working with lists of words. And that doesn't necessarily work as well. It's a bit more temperamental. But for this, it seems to work extremely well. Okay, so there's one more thing I want to do. I told you I don't understand imperial measurements. I don't understand inches. I don't understand cups. I understand centimeters.
Can I tell a little story about Celsius and?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So there's one place, if you notice, there's one place, and everybody, most of the people have been to that place where Celsius and Fahrenheit are about the same. So any guesses, people? Where most people have been there, you would find that the Celsius temperature and the Fahrenheit temperature is about the same.
But wouldn't it be somewhere very cold?
Yeah, very cold.
Yeah. So in Canada?
No, so it's okay. I'll tell you. You're on a flight at about 30,000 feet. The temperature outside is roughly 40 degrees, negative 40 degrees, and that's where the Celsius and Fahrenheit, they are exactly the same, right? So check it out next time when you have this. You're on a flight, right? Most of the time, the temperature is around that range, right? 40, 42, sometimes a little bit lower. And the temperature, the Celsius and Fahrenheit, they are very close to each other. So little trivia.
That is a good point. I didn't even think about altitude. I was just thinking about longitude.
Yeah.
No, it's
latitude.
latitude.
People in the chat: Patrick Ellis, Amit Argarwal, Lawrence Grigley, Kevin Roche, all got negative 40. Also, car engine out completely on YouTube. Also, new negative 40. They cracked your riddle, Satya. I know that is not today's trivia question.
Yeah, that's not today's trivia. The question actually was that
you win nothing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did see a question in the chat about why bother pasting the docstring into the assistant. It's because in that way it's sure to be part of the system prompt, and that explicitly the LLM will actually receive this information. So obviously it sees it when it calls the function or the tool, but it needs to know which tool to call. So it won't be able to see it until it calls the tool, if that makes sense. Whereas if you give it the docstring up front, it knows what is in each of the tools.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's, to be honest, I really struggled with the last project I did. I'll be doing a video for the PyCharm channel to demonstrate this one, but I kind of wanted to stick with it because it wasn't such a neat example, and it sort of shows that these things are not magic, that they really work well with some use cases. But because they're so unstructured, they can really fall to pieces when you need a bit more refinement. And that's when you probably need to start building less of a React agent and more of a structured graph agent. Okay, now we need to just import those and so convert. Not a method. Come on. Convert and convert. And then we pop them all here. I'll be lazy and just copy paste. Okie dokie. And then we just need to update our prompt to finish off all the conversions. I do also want to say, in the spirit of full transparency, I tried doing one with teaspoons and it really struggled transcribing the teaspoons. So it just missed them altogether. So
Yeah, what's the metric representation for a pinch or a dash?
Just a little bit. All right, so preprocess image, extract text. Okay, this is the bit that takes a little while.
How many, for the Americans here, how many football fields is this? Can we?
The one that drives me crazy actually is teaspoons of butter. I'm like, what is this? Butter should never be in a teaspoon.
That is very American.
Yes. Okay, cool. So it's correctly calling all of them. Weights to grams, cups to millimeters again, Fahrenheit to Celsius. I think it may, yeah, it missed one of them. It missed the inches. It does miss that one a fair bit. So not perfect, but pretty close. So we can also see all the conversions here.
And this step is important for folks out there, you know, maybe that are new to this stuff. You do need to kind of smell check this stuff. Like, you need to go through and be like, okay, wait a minute, that can't be right. If you see something, you know, say something, as they say.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm at the end of the main demo. Do I have time to quickly show some open source models? Or
yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right, so this will be the last bit. So I know that we've had a bit of talk on previous, like recent episodes about open source models, like the Qwen 2.5 VL. We will be using that today. Oops, wrong way. Okay, so that also, I've got to mention that if you want to be able to use GPT-4o, you will need to create an account on OpenAI and basically create your own API key. You will need to also load credits. It's, you know, it's not the cheapest model to use, and that's sort of why I wanted to show you this open source track that you can also use as well, which is free. Okay, so I think a lot of people would have heard of Ollama, but I just want to kind of give a quick overview. So Ollama is basically a project to make it possible to use open source large language models on your computer locally. Obviously with some restrictions, they're still big, they still, you know, can be a little bit slow, but it's a really cool project. And it uses a process called quantization, which takes all of the weights that LLMs use to calculate, you know, how inputs flow through the graph or through the model, and reduces their precision a little bit so that, you know, it still performs pretty close to the original model, but it takes up less space. So, you know, it's just a way of sort of doing some mathematical tricks to make these really huge models a little bit smaller, or quite a bit smaller. So you can see that Ollama has a bunch of different categories of models. We have the Ollama vision models here, and these are with our vision language models. And we've got the Qwen 2.5 VL model, which Satya talked about recently. And then we also have thinking models. These are the open source reasoning models. You can see that this is the big kind of announcement lately was that OpenAI released GPT open source in August, I think. It's still a pretty big model though, like it's 20 billion parameters. I downloaded this one and I tried to run it on my computer, which is pretty specky, and it was so slow. So your mileage might vary. You might have a more powerful machine than me, but 20 billion parameters is still quite a lot. So I'm going to be using Qwen 8 billion parameters. it's kind of interesting. China this year has come out with a number of smaller models that are using some tricks with the architecture and the way they're trained to be a bit more efficient. So you get good performance out of smaller models. So basically, that is the models. So we just need to do a few small updates to our code. So in order to use Qwen Vision Model 2.5, sorry, I cannot multitask. Right, here we are. So popping over to the tools, we change over our vision model. So instead of using this import, Chat OpenAI, we're going to use Chat Ollama. And instead of using GPT-4o, we are going to use Qwen 2.5 BL. So that's our language vision model. And then, as I said, we're going to use Qwen 3.8 billion for our reasoning model. So again, we just update, our import, and then we change over our model. I always wished I was one of those people that could like chat while I focus. I really can't, just focusing so much. Okay, cool. All right, so this is going to be a bit slower, but let's kick it off now. Okay, so one of the things that I find a little bit charming actually about the Qwen model, the reasoning model, is that it's really verbose. It's extremely chatty. So it's going to talk us through all of the reasoning steps that it takes. And it's actually kind of useful because while it's a lot of text to get through, it also gives you a bit more information about how the model is actually extracting information and reasoning through. So, you know, okay, the user wants me to pre-process an image with thresholding, blah, blah, blah. Okay, while we let that run, I want to show you one more piece of functionality in PyCharm in our AI toolkit, and that is the AI playground. So basically the AI playground is a way of comparing models before you put them into an application in a very kind of convenient interface. So let's say we did want to compare how well the reasoning abilities of Qwen go against those of GPT-4o. So what we can do is add these models, and you can see you can actually access through AI Assistant pretty much all of the proprietary LLMs. So we've got GPT-4o, but say you wanted to try out a Claude model and you didn't want to sign up for a Claude account and put credits and blah, blah, blah. You can also try it out through AI Assistant account. So we add GPT-4o, and then we also can see that it's automatically detected all the Ollama models that I have downloaded. Oh, my computer fan is starting. Hope I don't cut out of the chat. So we're going to add, there we go, Qwen 3. And let's say I want to try it out to see how it would go being our helpful assistant. So let me just copy a prompt that I created. And this prompt is basically designed to emulate the information that the LLM will have when you first prompt it. So I'm going to let that run, and then I'm going to explain to you what it says. So basically what I've said is, hey, you're a helpful assistant. You can analyze documents with the following tools. I list all of the tools that we provided. And then I say, imagine that you've been provided with an image. Which tools would you use in which order? Please pre-process the image with thresholding, blah, blah, blah. So that's the prompt that we gave it. And you can see that Qwen basically gets off to the races. It's doing all of its reasoning. It's very, very verbose. So it tells you, step one, I'm going to use pre-process image. I cannot say that word today. It's going to extract the text. Then it's going to use, presumably, these three functions because it doesn't know which units it needs to convert in the image yet. And yeah, basically it just tells us how it would do it. So that makes a lot of sense. Looks like it would work. And then we can see how GPT-4o would tackle it. We've already seen this, but it would do the same thing, pre-process image, extract the text, and then do some measurement conversions, which it's also had to make assumptions about. So this gives you a good way of seeing, is this actually going to be up to the task when I provide it with all the information it's going to have? And then let's see if it's managed to finish. Yeah, okay, so we can see it has pre-processed the image, it's extracted the text. Extracted the text again. Why did it do that? Had a little bit of a blip, but it got there. And then it has had a big think about all of the units it needed to convert. And going down to the bottom, did okay. I don't think it actually correctly converted this. This doesn't look right, but it's gotten most of what it needed to do. So you can see the performance isn't quite as good as something like GPT-4o, and it's because we've had to make compromises, right? This is a much smaller model and it's running locally on my machine.
Yeah.
But you know, it's not bad, and you sort of can play around with the maximum size of model that will run on your machine that will be best for your use case. So it's pretty much the end of the demo, and there's like lots of extensions you could add to this. I could have added a translate function. I could have added an MCP server to do grocery ordering if I was feeling brave. But yeah, basically that's it. So yeah, do we have any questions? And pretty much it's time for the giveaway as well, I think.
Yeah, that you are indeed correct there. I'll go ahead and bring us all back on screen. Where did Satya go? There he is. Okay. Yeah, so folks, we're going to do questions in just a few minutes. So if you've been holding on to those, let them out, put them on the Q&A, use the Q&A button on Zoom, or just ask in the chat, wherever you're watching on YouTube, LinkedIn, or on Twitch. Yeah, we've got some new subscribers over on Twitch. We really appreciate that, and some more paying members on YouTube. So we'd love to see that. What we're going to do right now is something we do on every single episode, which is a giveaway to you in the audience. But this episode is just a little bit different, better, one might say, because we're not just giving away one thing, we're giving away 3 things. Our illustrious guest, Jody, has gifted us 3 one-year PyCharm personal licenses. So today we're going to do one question, and the first 3 people to answer correctly, wherever you're watching, over on Zoom, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitch, the first 3 will win a free PyCharm personal license. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my screen. Let's see. This is going to be, I'm just waiting for people to answer before I even ask the question. This is often what happens. So what was the title of the recipe that we extracted OCR from? Answer in the chat. Wherever you're watching here, I've got everything. Oh, no, so be specific, folks. You got to be very specific. Many of you are saying chocolate cake. That is not correct. I'm looking for the title of the recipe. That is what the recipe was for, but that was not. Looks like the first one we got. It looks like 1, 2, and 3. All right, we've got 3. Thanks everybody out there. So the answer we were looking for was the actual title, which was Best Chocolate Cake Recipe. I think I'll put this one up to Jody. Jody, do you think we should count it if they didn't say recipe? If it just said Best Chocolate Cake, I think that probably counts. What do you think?
I think that's fine.
All right.
But that's just the keyword.
Yeah, exactly. So the first person to answer was Carlos, but he was not correct. Sorry, Carlos. Chocolate cake, not quite what we were looking for. Couple of typos, which, hey, spelling counts, folks. I'm sorry. The first one was Matha Gorham, who's one of trivia a few times here, one of our new trivia sharks. Best chocolate cake recipe. Our second winner was Amit, who first says best chocolate cake. And third was Rob Ranieri. Best chocolate cake recipe. Those were all on Zoom, surprisingly. Just barely missing the cutoff was Saeed on YouTube, and Robert Seward on YouTube, and Steve OK. Like, y'all were just seconds too late. But those 3 winners that I mentioned, please send exactly 1 email to me. That's Phil at opencv.org, PHIL at opencv.org, and we will make sure that you get your free PyCharm 1-year PyCharm personal license. Really, really appreciate that. Super awesome of our guest to provide that as a giveaway. And let me go ahead and hide our trivia segment here, remove that, and then we can come back. Hey, indeed. Let's get back to normal. That's much better. So that was a fun giveaway. It took people longer than I expected. Yeah, sometimes, like some weeks, they're answering before I even get the question out.
That was a
Steve
hard
OK.
question, though. Yeah.
Yeah, and Steve did not win, but he blames the CDNs. Yeah, I think maybe Google's CDN just not quite as fast. Who knows?
I thought
yeah, so
everybody uses Cloudflare now.
maybe that's it, or maybe who knows what?
It's the internet.
Maybe the pipe is just a little bit slower. You throw a couple extra bucks to the Cloudflare guys, and they just squeeze one of those tubes. Slow it down just a little bit, because that's how it works, right? So we've got a couple of questions here. Stefan on Zoom says, thanks for the awesome presentation. Leslie Ann on Zoom says, please bring Jody back again soon. You got a fan club over here, Jody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Yeah, your episodes so far, this is the second one, I believe, third one. Yeah. Always amongst the most active in the chat and biggest views. We had Inside Baseball, we had a peak of 92 viewers on YouTube, which is a high number for us. I really appreciate that. And normal viewership everywhere else. A little bit extra. I think we had a peak of about 8 on Twitch, which is, it's good for our Twitch numbers, but not good overall.
Did we double our Twitch numbers?
We do, basically yes. Went from 4 to 8. It's a big day for us.
Yes.
But yeah, we do. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put their names up on screen here. We have 3 Twitch subscribers now. The first 3, you can see their names down at the bottom of the screen there. Thanks so much for supporting us there. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you may not know this, but you have a free Twitch subscription you can spend on OpenCV's Twitch. It'll cost you $0. It's just a perk that you get with Amazon Prime. If you're not a gamer, you probably don't know about Twitch, or you don't use Twitch. Maybe it's your first time hearing about it, or you just didn't know that you had this free perk. You can go to twitch.tv/OpenCV official, hit that subscribe button, sign in with your Prime account, hit that subscribe button, and you'll give OpenCV some free money from Amazon, so the parent company of Twitch. So please do that, and we'll update as time allows. Let's go to questions. Pulling up the questions over on Zoom. Yes, over on Zoom. Someone was asking what are your terminal colors set to, Jody? They're interested in your setup. Are those just default, or do you use like? Yeah.
Everything in PyCharm is out of the box, but my terminal, I can't remember the name of the scheme, but this is called Starship. So this stuff you all see here, it's this beautiful project.
Let me go ahead and let me turn that on.
Yeah, OS project written in Rust. It's so cool because look at all the information you get, like, what branch you're on, you can see the version of Python, I can see I'm in the VM. It has additional information to this. So Starship, super cool OS project. Definitely recommend you install that.
Yeah, awesome. I'm a big fan of. I use OMyZSH as.
Me too. Yeah.
Where I'm gonna get to meet those folks at GitHub Universe. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. Well, let's do a couple more questions, and we'll do some before we close out here. So over here we've got some questions. One of which is from ASX on YouTube. If Jody has time, can she talk about her PyCharm setup? I'm a new user coming from VS Code, and I would love to learn how she has it set up.
That's such a nice question. This is actually out of the box, like, because as an advocate, I sort of need to have it set to the defaults because you need to see PyCharm as you would see it, right? So this is actually how it looks out of the box. I think the additional plugins that I have, do I have any additional ones? No, I think as of 2025.2, which is our latest release, this is basically all coming with it. So the only thing is the agents debugger, which I installed as a plugin. I forgot to show you how to install that. Basically, it will prompt you to auto install it when you start running a LangGraph agent. But if you want to manually install it, just go to settings. Sorry, a whole bunch of
Go ahead and bring up
very big.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then just go to the marketplace and search for the AI agents debugger and just install that. But yeah, this is actually just how it looks out of the box with the dark theme. It's pretty nice, right?
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, pretty good. I, of course, have a very customized terminal scheme because I can't just let anything stand on the default settings. Like it's a problem. It's a real problem.
I actually spent like half a day customizing PyCharm when I first got this job, like I do every time, right?
Hey,
and
yeah,
then
of course.
and then my boss is like, "Oh, that's cool, but you're going to need to reset it back to factory default."
You need to look, yeah, because it needs to look like what regular people will see. Yeah.
Sad.
Turns out. Yeah, we got another question here from the homie Steve OK on YouTube. How would this handle text in different colors, for example? Like, because I know you're doing like some black and white, and then threshold is adjustable, but like, so actually, I mean, certain colors may have trouble, like maybe like a yellow or whatnot. Can you talk about that a little bit?
It's actually an interesting question. I have to admit, I didn't test it at all. But given that we were either using GPT 4.0 or Quen 2.5 VL, Satya, do you have any experience of how these models go with like
They should
low contrast?
They should go fine, but you could also do some pre-processing. For example, you could look at the HSV values and subtract out the white. And so then even if it is colored, right, we are basically removing the white background. So that would basically create a binary image, which is much easier for the LLM to read in case you have a problem. But by default, I would first try the LLM itself. It should do just fine. But if it doesn't, then we can do the pre-processing with OpenCV.
Yeah. And I think it's actually a good point that you see how far you get with LLMs, but you will never, like this old-fashioned data processing that you have to do in computer vision, NLP, classic ML, it's not going away.
Right. And a lot of times people try to use a very big hammer to solve a little problem, right? And that is what we should avoid. The size of the hammer you should use should be commensurate with the size of the problem you're solving.
Absolutely.
Yeah, got a few more questions here. I think we got a little bit of time. Over on YouTube, question: can one blend LLMs if using free threaded / coroutines? E.g., can you use multiple LLMs in the same sort of project for different sorts of things?
I can see sort of the logic behind this. I haven't tried it because you can see obviously you have moments where one of your LLMs is just tied up processing, right? So you might be able to bring in another LLM. I am not entirely sure if they can access the same state because that would be the main thing that would make that useful, right? And actually get your performance boost. So I would have to say it's a very interesting question. I don't know. But you just have to check in LangGraph if you free thread it, that they can actually write to the same state and they don't override each other.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like there's some interesting logistics, I guess, you get into when we start doing this stuff. We got a question from Zoom here. This is kind of a long one. Yeah, okay, let's see. This is from Amit, one of our trivia winners here. For the math conversion, you wrote a function explicitly. That makes sense, but what if you wanted to do something that was fuzzy? How do you decide whether you ask the LLM to do it or write a function to do it yourself? For example, let's say you wanted to get a word that starts with the letters PR or any other two letters, but not a proper noun. That's interesting.
I like this question so much. Okay, it's a depends. It's a depends answer because it's complex. This actually gets into the idea of assessment in natural language processing, which is kind of complex. And assessment of something like generative models is even more difficult, right? So the use case you gave is a bit more fuzzy, but you can still write tests for it, right? So in that case, what you do is potentially create a gold standard set and try to see how many times the LLM versus your function succeeds. And if the function succeeds at a comparable rate to the LLM, I'd probably go with the function just because it's a bit more deterministic, right? But you need good assessment. And so it's one of those things where as it gets more and more difficult to assess these things, like how beautiful is this answer? You start getting into very subjective things. This is where assessment gets really, really difficult. And assessment's actually been a very neglected topic in this age of generative AI. A lot of people are relying on things like benchmarks, which are not a one-size-all-fits option because they measure many things and they may not measure things for your use case. But yeah, in this case, you just need to write the right tests and then pick, I think, the most stable and lightweight option to solve the problem. I got very excited.
It wouldn't be OpenCV Live if we didn't have at least one answer be it depends. I think
depends,
that's the hallmark of the show. That'll be like our first merchandise. The shirt will just say it depends.
Yes.
We got a couple more questions from Zoom here. This one is more of a question to the audience, I guess. If any folks out there have expertise in this specific field. In the case of digitized, really old handwritten records, like 80 plus years old, crop records, I heard about Python libraries that handle stuff like that. Does anyone have any experience or recommendations? So this is for you out there watching on the internet. If you have any recommendations, please post them in the comments for our friend over on Zoom, because I'm interested in this as well. My mom has a bunch of old recipes from her mom and her grandma. And there's also just some like family, like, diaries and things like that would be really interesting to be able to just like scan, run a Python script and have it, extract and learn all the horrible family details that you didn't want to know.
Excellent.
People always think they want to know, but then they find out. So yeah, any suggestions here? I mean, have you used any other models or anything like this for this type of project with this OCR stuff, either Satya or Jody?
I'll let Satya jump in.
In most of our projects where it becomes very difficult to, for difficult text, we have been very successful with Qwen 2.5 VL. It works really well. You should also try out DeepSeek's VL. That's also very good. But Qwen 2.5 VL is a workhorse that we have used. It has a very good PDF formatter also. So it should work out for you. If it doesn't, then you may have to fine tune your OCR engine, right? So that's the yes, we have done that several times also, that we have to get do the OCR ourselves, right? But try Qwen 2.5 VL because the other option is it's pretty messy. It's a long process.
Yeah, that makes sense. Deciphering handwriting, it turns out.
Yeah.
Not that easy.
There's another question. I think you're going to put it up, but how is using tools different from using normal pre-post processing functions?
Yes, indeed. There we go.
Yeah.
Did you want to grab that one, or
either? I mean, we can both go. You can start, and I'll finish. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the idea of like the agent is that it's dynamic and it can sort of make decisions. about what to use based on information as it emerges. So if you're not entirely sure what's going to be in those documents, and you may have a wide variety of things that need to be done, it sort of cuts the amount of processing because the agent can dynamically work out what needs to be done. That's kind of my main sort of understanding of how they differ, but Satya might have a slightly different idea.
Yeah, so it's very similar to what you said. Let's say you had a very specific task, like in this example, because of the limitation of time, we chose a very specific example. We want our AI to do one specific task, which is basically grab a recipe, OCR it, and give the result, output result. But you could think about a system, right, where it is not just it could be anything, right? It could be, let's say, the same agent could be handling text, OCR. It could be handling image classification, or it could be handling object detection, etc. In those cases, when you want to chain all these tools, you provided the tools, right? You say that, okay, these are the tools available to you. You have an object detector, you have an OCR engine, you have this, you have that. And given the task, you figure out what are the tools you need to put together a pipeline to solve this problem, right? So in those complicated examples, you don't have to write. You're just providing it tools, and it's figuring out how to combine them, right? You're not explicitly writing a function for each and every task. And you can imagine that, okay, there are tasks that you specify, but there are some more arbitrarily complex tasks also that the user can specify. And in those cases, again, the agent would, if it is within its wheelhouse, right, whether when the tools are available to it, it would be able to put together those tools and come up with a solution without you ever having to write custom code, as long as the tools actually solve the problem.
Yeah, that makes sense, and is a really long way to say it depends. Thanks for that question over on YouTube. And thanks to our YouTube supporters. You can see their names scrolling at the bottom of the screen there. If you want to be as cool as these people, you can become a supporter on YouTube by going to youtube.com/@OpenCVOfficial and clicking that subscribe button. Just a couple bucks a month, and it really helps us in the YouTube algorithm. It also just helps us make money, and we need that because we're a nonprofit organization that makes open source software. It may not surprise you to learn that today's episode was brought to you by PyCharm. OpenCV is a silver member at PyCharm. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll take a looky-loo at PyCharm. We talked a bit about this already, but I think it is worth repeating. Yeah, there we go. PyCharm, the only Python IDE you need. JetBrains.com/PyCharm, or scan the QR code that I hopefully embedded on your screen.
Yeah, it's visible.
Built for the web, data, AI, ML professionals, supercharged with an AI-enhanced IDE experience, as you saw demonstrated expertly here by Jody. We really appreciate PyCharm support. Any thoughts on PyCharm, Doc?
Well, it's the official IDE of OpenCV, and we love it, right? I mean, a lot of people who do not use an IDE, you'd be surprised how much your productivity goes up when you're using an IDE like PyCharm, because a lot of things that, you just look at the package management, right? You can see what is installed, what is not installed, and it's so easy to do it. And also the AI features where it's writing the code for you. So if you're building solutions these days, using an IDE, it's like PyCharm. It's really a blessing. So I came from, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I came from a background where I used to use VI or Emacs all the time, right? But now I think the IDEs are a must, right? You cannot ignore the fact that they make you so productive, right? At least 2x productive when you use code generation as well.
I feel like RMS would disagree with you there.
Right.
But yeah, please go check out our friends at PyCharm, the official Python IDE of OpenCV. They've also got a C IDE, C line. You can go check that out as well. But I think our time this week has come to a close. Any last thoughts for the audience out there, Jody?
Did we want to just maybe share the repo with the code again for people who might have missed it at the beginning?
Yeah, definitely. We can do that. And we'll make
And
sure
we'll
that
also,
it goes in the YouTube show notes as well. Yes.
and
Awesome.
also
Hey,
when we share
that's my
the recording.
Tamagotchi. I don't know if you can hear that.
Oh,
I for some reason I have a Tamagotchi now. Sorry to hijack the show, but
you should make sure you feed it so it doesn't die like mine did in the 90s.
this is like the third one already. It's died multiple times and been reborn. Yeah, happy advanced Diwali, by the way, everybody out there.
Yes.
Satya, Jody, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I just also wanted to say like a huge thank you to both of you and a huge thank you to the audience. Like it really means a lot when you come and you get a lot of good engagement, a lot of good questions. So sorry we couldn't answer them all, but thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure.
Yeah, and if you have a question that didn't get answered today and you really need an answer, you can go ahead and send an email to newsletter@opencv.org, and we'll make sure those questions get answered. We're also I'm updating the YouTube notes right now. You can refresh the page, and that will have the link to the GitHub repository for this, as well as the Hugging Face Agents course, as well as a relevant OpenCV University course. So, yes. Yeah, Doc, you ready to take us home?
Yeah, thank you so much, Jody. This was an excellent presentation. I learned a lot myself, and I'm pretty certain that our audience also learned a lot. Thank you, Phil, for organizing this show. And last but not the least, our audience, thank you so much for showing up every Thursday. It's a pleasure to connect with you on here. Phil, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks everybody. We will see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel, Thursday, 9 a.m. Where our guest, let's see, who is our guest next week? We've got The Tent, a really interesting sort of live experience using augmented reality and stuff. The Tent, really looking forward to that one. It's a project that's close to my heart. I love the merging of sort of live theater or live collaborative play with computer vision and stuff. So super excited for that one. That will be a fun episode. We will present that to you next week. Take care of yourselves out there, folks. Take care of somebody else if you can, and have a great day wherever you may be. Adios.
Thank you.